Growing up, I didn't know I was Jewish. I grew up in a typical Polish home where Christmas was celebrated. So did my father, by the way. When I was about 15 years old, I found a pile of papers, documents, letters, and a memoir that belonged to my grandfather, whom I never had a chance to meet, as he passed away when I was just 10 months old. But he was that very cherished person in our family, so I always wanted to learn more about him. But I also understood that as a kid, I wasn't supposed to find these papers that were hidden in our home. So whenever my parents weren't at home, I kept reading through these documents and a memoir. But when I realized that I'm not understanding anything more from what I was reading, I approached my parents to ask them, what are these documents about? That's when we started the long discovery journey of our family's history. We learned that my grandfather was born into a large Jewish family. Along the process, we found some of his relatives, and now we're family again. My grandfather did not share his life story with his family because in Poland of that time, it was safer not to say anything. That discovery inspired me to learn more about the Jewish people. So I started reading books to learn about Jewish history, culture, and tradition. Then I went on Birthright, and I came back blown away by the experience. But until today, I can't find that one specific moment that made the trip special for me. I think it was all about spending the 10 days in Israel with people just like myself, discovering their Jewish identity, or going on the trip with my sister, or very subconsciously connecting to what used to be my grandfather's life before the war. I got back to Poland with that great energy, and I wanted to get more involved with local Jewish life. So I started volunteering for my Jewish community in Wrocław, my hometown. After getting involved with a few programs and projects, I was hired by the community as its executive director. At the same time, the position of Birthright coordinator became available in Poland, and I knew that's something for me. Not only I could give back for the wonderful experience that I had myself, but I could also allow other young Polish Jews to have that incredible journey. Involvement with Birthright allowed me to become part of Hillel's story in Poland, and exactly 3 years ago, I was invited to create and build our first Hillel in Poland, in Warsaw. My story is not an unusual story in Poland, even though it might be surprising for you. About 70% of our students discover their Jewish roots as kids or teenagers, and only 30 have the privilege of growing up knowing that they're Jewish. Let me repeat this. 70% of our students don't know about their Jewish roots when growing up, and only 30% grow up knowing that they're Jewish. The fact that our grandparents decided to hide their identity from our families poses great challenges for us today. First of all, we need to understand, why did they hide their identity? Why didn't they share their life story? What did they even stay in Poland? I know that my grandfather was trying to provide somewhat stable and normal life for his family during the very uncertain time of communism. He started anew. He changed his name. He never mentioned where he was from, all in order to protect his family. I believe that he decided to stay in Poland because it might have been too difficult for him to go to yet another country and start his life again, being rather older than younger. But I'll never have a chance to verify that. Today, we need to uncover all that was hidden, from our family stories to learning about Jewish history, culture, and tradition. Today, we choose to be Jewish. Our students often come to us with questions like, what does it mean to be Jewish? Is my grandparents' history my history? Can I make the Jewish piece a relevant part of my life today? Am I Polish? Am I Jewish? These are all very difficult questions. Finding answer to them takes time. It's a process. It does not happen overnight, and takes a lot of courage to be willing to deal with. Your students might be asking similar questions, but the background for them is different. Imagine how much our students could learn from each other if we were to bring them together. Another challenge that we deal with today is the relationship between Polish Jewish community and the international world. Very often, the history of Jewish life in Poland ends in 1945. Poland is a place of the greatest tragedies that happened to the Jewish people. Our families survived through terrible trauma, therefore it might be hard to understand how Jewish life could continue in Poland. But it did. It did survive throughout communism, even though hidden, and then flourished again in 1989. These tensions very often come out during our meetings with international delegations. During these meetings, we're asked questions like, how do you live in Poland? How can you be living Jewish life in Poland? How can you live in the shadow of Auschwitz? How many of you are being asked questions, why do you live where you live? We, Polish Jews, are proud to live our Jewish life in Poland and restore what was meant to be destroyed. Can you try to imagine how our students must feel when they come with these questions and are being asked these questions? Can you try to understand how it must feel when your connection to your homeland is being questioned? Or your identity, the very fragile, delicate, just developing identity, is being undermined? Often, after these meetings, we're left feeling as animals in a zoo, as curiosity. Understanding our identity and developing it and explaining our community to the wider world are our greatest challenges today. How do we deal with them? First of all, we need to shift the narrative of Jewish life that the students come to us with. What they know from their grandparents is the trauma of the war, fight for survival, oppression, pogroms, and then hiding their identity throughout decades of communism. We need to show them that Jewish life is full of positive experiences, joyful, and meaning that they can find and adopt for their lives. How do we do it? Through educational workshops, seminars, and lectures where we teach about Jewish history, culture, and tradition. We teach by doing. We celebrate Shabbatot and holidays together. We bring our students for Shabbatonim, where we celebrate Jewish life. We smile, we laugh, and we enjoy each other's company while learning from each other. We teach our students that Jewish values are relevant today. We also show them that whichever way of living Jewish life they'll choose for themselves, it will enrich their lives. There are no good or bad choices here, and there's plenty to choose from. We also don't assume that our students have any prior Jewish knowledge, therefore we use each and every opportunity to teach. We also make sure that whoever comes through our doors feels welcomed and comfortable. We also lead our students in understanding that despite the difficult Polish Jewish history, we're all equal members of the Jewish world. Our students often need to face their parents who are not that willing to go with them through a discovery story. Therefore, our Hillel becomes their Jewish home. I'm sharing with you my story and the story of our Hillel, but the discovery stories are very common in Central Europe. If you go to Krakow, where we have our second Hillel in Poland, you'll see the same similar stories. Or if you go to Hungary, you'll see the same patterns of Jewish discovery. As much as these stories are the same, they are also very different. As different are the Jewish journeys that our students take. During our meetings with international delegations, we share our stories using it as a teaching tool because I believe that we can learn a great deal from each other. We can teach you what it really means to deeply look into your Jewish identity, how to bring Jewish values to your life, even though they might seem irrelevant at the very beginning. We can show you how to engage those whose only Jewish experience might have been a birthright trip. We would like to learn from you how to maintain a community. What are the programs and projects that inspire your students? It's about creating that Hillel to Hillel partnership, that personal and emotional connection that will empower our students worldwide for life. Come and learn from us. Some of you gathered here tonight have been coming to Poland and are planning to come back. Some are planning their first trips. Invite our students so that they can learn firsthand from your communities. coming to Poland to see Jewish life, the vibrant, rich, and colorful Jewish life of today, will inspire your students and allow them to really deeply look into their own Jewish identities. Inviting our students to your communities will be a great way for them to learn that we're not that different from each other, even though we might live in different parts of the world. We ask the same questions, we struggle with the same challenges, we live the same Jewish life. We're one big family. My Jewish discovery journey is a very long journey. It started about 20 years ago. And it's not over yet. And clearly, it wasn't an easy journey. It took my family a long time to put together all the pieces of the puzzle of our family's story. Still today, I have more questions than I have answers. That discovery changed me and shaped me into who I am today. A while ago, I was asked if I'm not ashamed of uncovering my grandfather's history that he's put so much effort into hiding. I was shocked when I heard that question in the first place, as I never looked at it that way. And it took me a while to find an answer, even if just for myself. But then I understood. Our grandparents survived through the worst persecution in Jewish history, followed by life lived under communism that forced them to hide their identity from us. Today, standing in front of you as a proud Jewish woman and a proud Jewish professional, I'm saying we're no longer afraid, we're no longer ashamed, we're no longer hiding our identity.